Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 175. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle, and I can't believe we're at 175 episodes. That is so many episodes. The podcast is turning 4 years old in August. Wowie, 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 wowie. So if you've been around for the whole time, cheers to you. If you are a new listener, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are doing one of my favorite type of episodes, a Q&A. So I like to post sometimes on Instagram a little question box where I just connect with you, the listeners, my community, and see what's on your mind, see what questions you have for me. And it's just a good pulse on what's up, what you're thinking, what you're wanting to hear about. And I love to answer questions. If you haven't already followed me on Instagram, my Instagram is at Medium in the Middle. I only have one Instagram. There are a lot of scammers, so beware. I have never and will never DM you for a reading. I've never said that I've been called to you. Grand rising, you are chosen. Just email me some money and I'll send you some information. No. That is a scam. But at Medium in the Middle, I have a lot of additional content on there, so it's great to stay connected. I just have one quick announcement for this week. The August Reiki Level 1 filled up so quickly. I am still so blown away that so many people want to learn Reiki and they're getting the call, and it lights me up that this is your calling and you're answering the call to learn Reiki. So I've added another course in August because I didn't want you to have to wait till the end of September. That seems so far away. We're only in June. So if you miss that course, the next one will be August 19th and 20th. And if you are one of my Reiki students, the next Reiki Level 2 that still has space is July 22 and 23. So if you're ready to become a Reiki practitioner, if you're ready to learn Distance Reiki, how to clear rooms, how to clear items, receive the symbols, the Reiki symbols, then come join me. You'll know you're ready for Level 2 in the same way you knew Level 1. There'll be a call, there'll be a push, it'll pop up, it'll remind you. So just be mindful. Don't rush the process. You'll know when it's time. But Reiki Level 1 is in August. Reiki Level 2 is in July. So we're going to start this episode with a card pull. I pulled this week from the original. We went back to the OG, Colette Baron Reid Enchanted Map Deck. I was just feeling a classic pull. And again, when I pull these cards, I'm just asking what the listeners need to hear whenever you're listening to this episode. Whether you listen to it when it's released in June 2023, or maybe you're listening to this years from now. Hello, in the future. So the first card actually jumped out and fell on the floor. And then I felt we needed another card. So I'm going to pull the card that fell on the floor first. But there's a 2-card pull this week. So the first card was card number 2, Gentle Gardener. Be your own person. Be a conscious co-creator. The Gentle Gardener is visiting you at this moment in your life to remind you that your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs create the reality you experience. She is the embodiment of the energy within you that is sent out into the field of co-creation and ensures that all that you are is reflected in the world of form. Are you aware of your thoughts? What is their quality? Believe in limitless possibility and you will see miracles unfold. The Gentle Gardener guarantees the integrity of everything you send out into the world. Stay positive and expect a wondrous return. Your garden is abundant with beauty. Ooh, I like that card. Gentle Gardener. The second part of our message this week is card 47, Sacred Pool. The world is a reflection of your thoughts. Look at that. They just go together so perfectly. The world is a reflection of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Embody the love you wish to see in the world. When you look into the mirror, do you like what you see? The Sacred Pool card asks that you focus on self-love and self-esteem. We are all works in progress, so a detached self-examination made with rigorous honesty is called for now. Reflect by the sacred pool and be at peace with yourself. Can you see how far you've come and how magical your life is? Do you notice the spark of the divine shining through your eyes? When you're conscious that your embodiment of spirit is becoming easier to respect yourself and act in good conscience, then you'll reap the greatest rewards. Your unique service to the world is not only needed, but celebrated. See the love within you and know that if you cast it upon the waters, it will return to you tenfold. Be at peace, for you are beautiful and loved. Act with surety and confidence, and success shall be yours, whatever your inquiry. Ooh, sacred pool. The world is a reflection of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Embody the love you wish to see in the world. And card number 2, which is the gentle gardener. Be your own person. Be a conscious co-creator. I like it. I like it a lot. Sorry, I do have one more announcement. The mentees in the middle will be reopening at the beginning of July. So it's going to go out first to the wait list to apply, but there should be a few spots left, maybe 2, maybe 3, after the wait list gets first dibs. So if you have been waiting and looking for a mentor, it is my 12-week one-on-one program. There's more information on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. But that is also coming at the start of July. I just sent out a reminder to the wait list saying you're the first to know, but we are hyping up mentorship. That just brought that to mind because I was going to tell you a mentee story and say, I was talking about this with my mentee today. So before we jump into this week's episode, I have a very, very, very exciting announcement. If you have been around the podcast for a while, you know it has been one of my biggest goals to get the podcast sponsored, and I am happy to report we have our first podcast sponsorship partner. So please welcome as an official middler, DYP, which stands for Do Your Part. It is a business actually in Calgary, and the beautiful owner reached out to me, and she has never done podcast advertising before, and I obviously have never done this before either, but it felt so right. So DYP are products that are designed for aesthetically pleasing and being environmentally conscious, so you can feel good about improving your daily life and helping the planet. So they have reusable things for the kitchen, for laundry, for self-care. If you were on my live a few days ago, I was talking about dryer balls. They have dryer balls. All of their products are eco-friendly products, and they're made to help you switch to a more sustainable lifestyle. If you go check out their website, dyprefillery.com. And of course, we have a discount code for you. What would my first sponsorship be without a discount code? So they ship all over Canada and the States. Use code MIDDLERS10 at dyprefillery.com and go support an amazing local business who is supporting little creators like me. Show DYP some love for being the first podcast sponsor. I am really going to hype that up because the owner took a chance on me and my podcast, and just so much gratitude for this partnership. So thank you, DYP. I will leave all the links down below in the show notes so you can shop with Middlers10 to save some money. So with that exciting news out of the way, I know it's way more exciting for me than it is for you, but this is big for a podcast that I've been working on for almost 4 years. Let's jump in to your questions. So thank you to everyone who submitted questions on Instagram. I do this every few months, so you can also just message me your questions and I'll save them for the next time that I do a Q&A on the podcast. But I'm going to start off with, let's do some easy ones. So how's my tarot reading going? So I was learning how to do tarot and I started going through all the cards. To be honest, I haven't done much. I was thinking like I should review my course again, but I really love Oracle, so it's hard to go to tarot. But thank you for asking. I am still learning, and it's going much slower than planned, as does everything in life, I'm sure. So the next question is, someone asked that they have been attuned with all the symbols, but they haven't practiced Reiki in a while. Do they need to get reattuned? So I do want to talk about this because I get this question in some form in so many ways. So I want to say two things. Number one, once you are attuned to Reiki, you are attuned for life. You are open. I like to say it's like a tattoo. I have a tattoo on the back of my neck. I went to the tattoo artist. I got the tattoo on the back of my neck. It is there. Even if I never look at the back of my neck, that tattoo is still there. Reiki is the same. Even if you haven't used it in a long time, as soon as you look, it'll be there. So there's a few things that I recommend. I recommend, number one, start using Reiki. It's like a bike. The more you use it, the more comfortable you get with it. So start doing your self Reiki every day. Review your booklet. Review the information from your course. And if that's not enough, then go retake a course. But you're retaking a course not necessarily for the attunements. It's more for a refresh of the information, maybe to get you re-inspired, maybe to give you the kick in the arse to get back into it. But you do not need to be reattuned. Please don't let anyone ever tell you that it's been so long, you should freshen up your attunements. You should top up your attunements. No. Once you're open, you're open. This is where it's not like a tattoo. Your tattoo doesn't need touch-ups. It needs practice. Practice and see how you feel from there, but you don't have to focus on getting reattuned. Only take another course if you feel you want to, you need to. It's been 20 years, you forget everything. Yes, take another course. But once you are attuned for life. Also, getting reattuned will restart your 21-day cleanse. So it is an energetic cleanse if you want that. Some people don't. So just be mindful of that as well. Sticking with the Reiki questions, let's go into another one. Someone asks, I love Reiki. Should I take level 2 even if I don't want to become a paid practitioner? So there are a lot of reasons to take level 2, and I would say the lowest reason on that list is to be a paid practitioner. So the quick answer to your question would be you can still take level 2 even if you don't want to be a paid practitioner. I would say you would want to take level 2 if you're having the call to move forward with your Reiki career, similar to the way you were called to level 1 is like level 2 showing up. Are you thinking about level 2? Do you want level 2? Are you being pushed forward? And level 2 is where you will receive the symbols. So Reiki gets a lot easier and faster. Your flow gets a little stronger. So level 1's an opening. Level 2 is a big push up. It's very much an opening. So if you want that opening, if you want that push up, that level up, level 2 is great. You also learn how to Reiki items. So non-living things, crystals, items, food. You learn how to Reiki rooms and spaces. You learn distance Reiki. So yes, you can start to move up to being a paid practitioner and exchanging for money. You can also start exchanging. But that wouldn't have to be the main reason why you take level 2. I would say if you're being called for more, if you want to learn all those things I just mentioned, level 2 is always an amazing course. And again, it's a gift to yourself. I have all my students do this in class, but I make them pat themselves on the back, quite literally, and celebrate themselves for giving themselves the gift that is a Reiki weekend training. And this isn't a big ad for my own trainings. These are actually real questions, but it's so true. No matter who you take your Reiki course with, you're giving yourself a whole weekend to yourself, to your spirituality, to your intuition, to opening up. And it's a gift, you saved for the money, you got the kids covered, you booked off work, whatever you had to do to get that course. And it should be seen that way. So just see if you're being called for it, but you will know when the time is right. That's what I will say for level 2. Okay, this is a good question. How do you discern between intuitive or spirit thoughts and your own thoughts? So I'm going to go back to something that I say constantly around creating your own manual. So we are like cars that didn't come with a manual. So we have to create our manual. What does it mean when XYZ happens? What does it mean when the light on your dash is flashing? We have to figure out those meanings. So I like to say, how do you learn to discern? You need to start taking notes and you need to start seeing how this information comes in. So for me personally, if I'm getting intuitive thoughts, that's coming from inside me. That is a gut feeling of yes or no. That is ooh, this is a good idea, or oh, this is a bad idea. If spirit is talking to me, it feels like someone's like standing above me and someone's saying something to me. So it feels coming from outside of myself They usually feel like they're on my crown, and it's like someone's talking to me. So it's not my own thoughts. So you want to start to be mindful of, is this information coming from within, from your higher self, or from spirit, and understanding them as almost their own language, so that when it starts to come in, it's like, ooh, that came from outside of my third eye. I know someone's telling me this information. Who's telling me this information? Let me figure that out. Oh, it's a man. Oh, it's your dad. Oh, it's this. So that's how you kind of go about that. But imagine them like languages. Maybe inside you speak English, outside you speak French. So when you hear French, you know that's from spirit. When you hear English, you know that's from yourself. But you need to start taking notes in order to discern between the two, because everyone's going to be different with how this downloads. So for me, it feels more like intuition is like that yes, no, very powerful hit. Spirit feels like someone is talking to me, but you might receive that information differently. You have to figure that out because your manual will be different than mine. Everyone's manual is different, so no one can help you build your own manual. I can help you figure out your patterns and be like, oh, hey, how does this feel? And ask you the right questions. But ultimately, you still have to figure out those patterns. And the easiest way is to write them down. I always like to joke and say, what'd you have for lunch on Monday? You don't remember. Exactly. Write things down. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is that I'll remember that. And then we don't. So write things down, have a note on your phone, have a little notebook, be as specific as possible with those feelings. Next question is about PSYCH-K. I actually get asked this all the time. Where did I do my PSYCH-K training? So there is only, I think, 2 people in Canada, or there was when I took my training, that can do the PSYCH-K training. So it's through the PSYCH-K website. If you're in the States, it's all the same website. I think if you just Google PSYCH-K, it comes up. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. The training is very old school, very lackluster, and while I don't recommend the training, I do recommend PSYCH-K, but I'm also an energy worker, so there's a lot of things that I could move through faster, understand faster. So if you are already an energy worker, I feel like you would have that in your back pocket, but the training isn't wonderful. You get what you need. Just being honest here. So another good question, and I think I've answered this before, but I will happily answer it again. Is it possible to communicate with babies who are not born yet or who passed before birth? So the answer to this is yes and yes. If you are interested in stories of babies that passed before birth, go listen to episode 2, Maria. Oof, that was a hard one. That was one of my first experiences with spirit, but it was of a baby who did not make it earthside. Sorry, trigger warning. And babies who are not born yet, this is actually really fun as a Reiki practitioner. It will feel like 2 humans in front of you because there literally is. So there's mom plus baby, and they will feel like 2 separate energies. So you're connecting to the energy of the baby in mom's belly, and you're connecting to the energy of mom as 2 separate beings. So energetically, I love working on pregnant women because yes, you can get some information. I've got messages, I've got due dates, I've got genders. I have podcast episodes about this as well, but their energy, their souls. So whether they are not born yet, whether they have passed, whether they didn't make it earthside, they're still souls. So they're able to be connected with. And it's really beautiful. So if you are pregnant, go for a Reiki session. It's so nice. You can connect to your baby. And if you do Reiki closer to your birth, like I know if I ever am working with a pregnant woman who is about to give birth, like within 7 months plus, I set up a bunch of distance Reiki for when she's giving birth, just to like have a bunch of presets ready to go and do as much as we possibly can before to set that birth up. So I'm always hoping for no complications, nice and easy birth, speedy recovery, just sending lots of energy to the actual time of birth. I like to do that when it's like 7 months over, like the baby's coming soon type of thing. So it's a little bit harder to do if you are not as far along. I like to think about it as like potency. The closer to the date, the better. But yeah, if you're pregnant, go get some Reiki. So fun. Connect to your baby. feel their energy. They can receive Reiki too. They don't need as much as us. They just need a few minutes. So normally when I Reiki a pregnant woman, I'll do like 55 minutes on her specifically to make sure baby doesn't steal the appointment. And then the last 5 minutes are for baby. So they don't need too much at all. The next question is, how do I become a medium? So I like to use analogies for things. So I will give you the analogy that I use often for this. And I just like to let's use soccer today. So, can everybody play soccer? Yes. Everybody can play soccer. You can put on your cleats, you can go out on the field. Are some people going to put on those soccer shoes for the first time, go out on the field, and be amazing soccer players? Yes, there's going to be people like that. Are there going to be people who need to practice 1 or 2 times a week and they're still going to be pretty good? Yep, there's going to be people like that. Are there going to be people that barely need to practice, but they're going to go to the Olympics and they're going to win every game and they're number 1? Yep, there's going to be people like that. Are there going to be people that need to put on their soccer shoes and practice every single day for 30 minutes to become a better soccer player or a half-decent soccer player or a really good soccer player? Yes. So I would say, how do you become a medium is you start playing soccer. You do the thing. You start practicing. And you might be the type of person who needs to practice once a week. You might be the type of person who needs to practice 2 times a week. Or you might need to be the type of person who practices every single day. I always say, I know I have a lot of moms that listen to this podcast. If you bought your kid a keyboard and keyboard lessons, what would you say to them? I bought you keyboard and keyboard lessons. You better practice that every single night. I'm not paying for this for nothing. So mediumship is the same. How do you do it? You start. You practice. You read for as many people as you can. You sit there and you focus and you learn about your intuition. Are some people going to be amazing as soon as they step on the field? Yes. Are some people going to need some work? Yes. So it just depends kind of where you are on that field. Do I believe that everyone does have the ability to connect to spirit? Absolutely. Do I believe that some people are going to be better than others at connecting? Absolutely. Do I think people are going to find it easier or harder than others? Yes, absolutely. So I would say just start practicing, start writing your manual, start keeping notes, but that's the easiest way. Just start. Okay, and then the last question for today, which was a good question. They asked, what happens when you've lived multiple lives, learned what we're meant to learn, helped those we're meant to help, and you finished your purpose as a spirit in all of your lives? So this, my friends, is called reaching enlightenment. What we're all here to work towards, or what we're all trying to do, is, reach that finish line, essentially. Like I always say, there's no finish line, but there kind of is. When you're done reincarnating, you are done. You don't have to come back anymore. You've learned the lessons. You've done what you needed to do. Some people will say you're freed from the meat suit. You're freed from the human experience. And you go back to source. You go back to that oneness, that community. And then I would think you were just popped out again in some new consciousness and do it all over again. But I talked about this on the podcast a long time ago. My Reiki master, Lois, we once had a conversation where she was fairly convinced she was on her last life. And not in a cocky way. It wasn't an egotistical way. She was just like, I think I'm done. She's like, this life, I tied up some loose ends. I learned some lessons. And now I'm meant to teach and share. And she's like, I might come back one more time as like a dog or a homeless person or something just to help others. But I'm done. I was like, what do you mean you're done? She's like, I don't need to come back anymore. Like I've learned everything I needed to learn. And I was like, wow, like I've never talked to someone who's just like, I'm done. I feel like it also takes a lot of humility and ego and awareness to even be able to say things like that. But if you're done, you're done. You go back to source. You're not having to come back to learn certain lessons. You don't have to reincarnate as a human anymore. What happens next? Do we become guides? Do we become spirit guides? Do we become helpers? Do we go back into the consciousness? I don't know. I don't think anyone will know. But you've finished the game. Your matrix is over. Very good question. I was like, ooh, and it instantly reminded me of Lois. So thank you for your questions. I really enjoy answering your questions. I should do this more often, like maybe monthly. and just take a few questions from the audience about what you want to hear about. There are a few questions that I did save for their own podcast episodes. They couldn't be answered in a short form version. I was like, ooh, I want to riff on this. So if your question wasn't answered, I saved a few that will be getting their own podcast episode. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please leave the podcast a rating and a review. It really helps me out in the podcast world. I release new episodes every Wednesday. If you subscribe to the podcast, I will just pop up in your library every week. Until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. All the links you need will be down below in the show notes. I'll see you over on Instagram. Bye for now, everybody.